Okay, so to set up a session like this, there are different ways that you can go about it. The one way that you can go about it is you can go directly through the app Hangouts Meet, or you can go through Google Calendar. So we're first going to look at the Hangouts Meet one because it's a more straightforward way, but then we'll look at how we do Google Calendar, because Google Calendar, generally speaking, I think gives you a little bit more functionality. Right. So if we go to, right, if we open up a new tab and we simply go to the web address Meet, or we can click on the waffle, you'll see there Hangouts Meet is available there. If you click on Meet, it'll take you to a screen that looks something like this. Join or start a meeting. Obviously, we have our meeting now. It will show you any meetings that are scheduled for the day. It will automatically appear. There we've got R1, distance learning training. So, and it says the call is being recorded. In other words, we can use it at a later stage. If I wanted to create a new meeting, I can simply click on the plus button and I say new meeting, continue. I don't know what's going to happen if I have two meetings active at the same time. It'll bring you to a screen that looks like this that you probably saw. And then if you click on join now, and I'm not going to click on join now because it'll take us to this screen essentially. But let's click on join now to show you. Sorry, Peter, can you just repeat?
Jou klank raak heeltemal weg en dit echoes dit breek heeltemal weg as gevolg van die twee recordings wat jy maak.
Yes, that's why I'm going to stop it immediately, because I know what happens there. The minute that you have open up two Google Meet screens, you're going to see it's clashing with each other the whole time. But I'm just going to quickly go through this process again. The same process is just going to be a little bit more clever this time. Right, so this time, instead of actually activating my microphone and my camera, I'm going to switch both of them off, because it's the microphone that bounces around like that. Right, so once this new meeting has been created, you'll see over here, it calls itself new meeting, and then this link that I sent to all of you that you used to join, there it is. It's as simple as that. So what you can do, you can copy this and you can paste it to your learners via WhatsApp. You can copy and paste it into their Google Classroom, anything like that. You can tell them, please note, today at 11 o'clock, we are going to have we're going to have a virtual lesson. So click on this link and join the meeting. Right? Alternatively, if you want to, you can also say add people. And if you've got their email addresses, you can enter all their contact details. I did exactly the same thing with JP yesterday. We were in a meeting to sort out something and he was struggling with. So in this way, I can just invite different people to my meeting, which I'm not going to do now. Right. So in that way, I add people to my meeting. And one of the nice features that has now been opened up, remember, this is unfortunately a Google Enterprise feature, but they have made it available until the 1st of July for everyone. We're hoping they will extend it. But if we click on more options, we can now say record meeting, right? It'll tell you need to ask for consent, as I did when we started with our training. Basically, just ask the people, are they all okay with you recording what's happening? And then the recording will take place, right? So the minute that you say record, it automatically starts recording the meeting. I'm going to close this now. So that is how we go through Google Meet to create a meeting. It's a very quick and easy way. If you know that you are talking to someone now and you just want to create a meeting and add them to this thing quickly and then have a discussion. Remember, what's very nice about that is the screen presenting that I'm doing. You can do exactly the same thing. Any of you could now also say, we want to present the screen. So if you're having technical difficulties, you can present your screen, show me what you are doing, and I can talk you through the procedure, or a learner can do the same thing. Right. The other way that we can do it is if we go through Google Calendar. So in other words, we open up a new tab on a waffle and we go to Calendar. right? When we create, I'm just going to quickly add my different things in here. Right, so when we want to create a session, so obviously we're going to find time. There's a whole bunch of things happening on the calendar. Here's just, it says lockdown, which we hope is going to end there. Then if we want to schedule a new instance here, as I've done over there, you simply click somewhere and it asks you what do you want to call it. We're going to call it grade 10 Romeo and Juliet. And from this point on, you can start adding guests. You can add all the learners that you want. If you have a Google Classroom, it'll automatically pick up the classroom and you can say assign it to that classroom. I unfortunately don't have that setting enabled here, but you should have that setting enabled. And then, as I said, you can add the guests one by one. You can copy and paste their names from somewhere else or the email addresses. And then the important bit is when we say add rooms, location, and conferencing. If you click on that, and you say add conferencing, it immediately creates a Hangouts Meet session. Now, another feature that's very nice is if you click on this arrow, you see you can also add a live stream. Now, the nice thing about the live stream is it uses slightly less bandwidth. What essentially happens is the learners can join the session, but they can't necessarily interact. So they can watch everything that's happening, but they won't be able to comment and add certain things. Now, what happens, unfortunately, very often, and I've seen this happen on a few occasions, the first time that you do this, the kids will be kids, and they will turn their mics on and they will turn their mics off, and they will want to take control of the screen, etc., etc. So presentation, the live stream is good in the sense that it cuts out their own access to it. However, it does also mean that they can't participate in the sense of asking questions, etc. So we don't really want to do that, but it is a useful feature, especially for the learners that have less bandwidth that they can use, because the stream uses less bandwidth. A meeting itself is also limited in the sense that you can only have 250 people active in one meeting, which you obviously will not have in a class setup. But if, for example, you want to send out a message to the entire school, then a stream works very well because you can stream to up to 5,000 people, which is obviously a lot more than you're going to need in a school setup. But that's the big difference between the two. Once I've created the session, what will happen is it'll automatically, as you all received an email, you all received emails regarding the fact that we're going to have a meeting. We probably want to have a time added to it. We're going to say it's going to be from 10 to 12. So we add a time to this, and we can add, as I said, we add the guests as far as we want. So just to show you this, I have created a group in my contacts with all my learners. So if I simply type the name Scuba Champs and I click on it, it'll automatically add all of them to this list that I want. I don't want to actually add any of them. Right, sorry, where am I now? Right, so what you can also do, if you add dummy class testing and you add this, it'll send out an email to all of the people that are part of this classroom. Right, can you see? So if I when it says add guests, if I enter the name of here we go, the ICT champions. So if I click on that group, I want to just add this. Once I click on this group and I press the down arrow, it'll show you everyone that's in this group will be sent an email regarding this session. So you can simply type your class name, the name of the Google Classroom that you want people to invite, and it will send them an email. One thing that is very important to take note of, you cannot only rely on the fact that they're going to check their emails to know about this. I would strongly suggest sending them, if you've got WhatsApp groups, send them a WhatsApp informing them of the session that you will have, along with a link that they will need to access when they join the meeting. Right, so now we aren't going to add anyone. I'm just going to save this meeting. So there we go, 11 a.m. grade 10 Romeo and Juliet. If I click on this, So once I go into my Google Calendar, if I've received this, if you go onto your Google Calendar, you will all see this session that we are busy with now. If I click on this session, it'll show you all the details that I have here. You can add a lot of things to this. So for example, we can add a description. This or lesson will deal with why Romeo and Juliet killed themselves. Right? Spoiler for those of you that didn't know that. What we can also add to this, you can add attachments. So if there's a PowerPoint involved, for example, you can say we're going to add this untitled presentation. What will then happen is, if we go back to our meeting, if you click here in the corner, in the bottom left corner on the up arrow, you'll see there's an option that says attachments. If you've added attachments to your presentation, so for example, you want them to read through a document, there's a PowerPoint presentation that you want them to go through, then they can open that up and they can read through it. So if their video quality is, for example, is struggling a little bit, then you can add it as an attachment and you can tell them they don't need to watch the video. They can simply open up the PowerPoint themselves and you will tell them how to navigate. And you will talk them through this thing so that if the video quality struggles, they can at least do it in that way. There are different ways that you can go about it. In this way, as I said, you can add attachments to whatever it is that you're doing, and you can set up your training session exactly the way that you want to. And then very importantly, as we also explained, if we click on more options, you'll see there's the stop recording. I've obviously started the recording, and in this way you will record your entire lesson as we have done now. There's also the start live streaming. I didn't activate the streaming because I don't think anyone was necessarily going to join the streaming element of what we're doing. One thing to note with the streaming, what's a little bit different between the meeting and the streaming is limited to only the domain. In other words, if I were to activate the streaming, none of you would be able to join this meeting because you don't have the same, you don't have a Western Cape government address, you've got the Vista Gymnasium address. Whereas a meeting does allow external people. If you've been invited to the meeting, you're automatically added to it. A learner who has not been invited to the meeting and who has the code and they click on it, the person who is hosting the meeting, they will simply see a pop-up, accept this person or reject them. And then you just accept the person as they are joining the meeting. Right, once you're finished with your meeting, all meeting videos it takes a while to render and save. This one will obviously take a bit longer because it is a long video. It goes into a Google Drive folder called Meet Recordings, and all of them will simply fall over there, and you can use them at a later stage. Remember, sharing them the way that we did, get shareable link, and then you can just simply share that link, ensure that you get shareable link, sharing settings, and you go through the whole process of making sure that it's accessible. Unfortunately, there is no quick and easy way to transfer a video from Drive to YouTube. So if you want to get your files off of Drive onto YouTube, you must first download it and upload it to YouTube. Unfortunately, there's no other way to do it at present.